Say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, dear Dhamma friends, when it comes to practice meditation, in sometimes from the history that we see, people use this meditation as a tool to escape from the reality. So, but when it comes to vipassana meditation, rather than go away from reality, it always takes you towards the reality. So then always remember, when it comes to this meditation practice, it always going to make you more important person to the society, to your family, to your society, your country, to entire this universe. And seeing the truth, not go away from the truth. So when it comes to seeing the truth means, it is just not seeing only the eternal truth. Even the in conventional level truth also you're going to see. Because from the history, there are a lot of people used meditation, this name called meditation, to mesmerize people and shut down their mind, because then they don't see this conventional life. And it's kind of same like the in Europe soccer. Though whatever the problems in day-to-day life, you're not going to see anymore. And from the ancient times, sometimes the government spends so much money behind. There are certain gurus to do lot of retreats and keep the most young generation shut down. It happened in the ancient time to today. It happening. If you find any kind of political intelligence service people and ask them, that you will recognize the big names will come, that today people worship their names. And when you hear their names, people worship. But it publicly, there are certain documents and certain intelligence services, political intelligence services, went deeper to see how the government runs, and deeply government funding to these gurus to do their mesmerized meditation techniques as a part of the government, to keep their corruptions, to hide from the society. So it happened all the time. So that's why you have to remember, this practicing meditation is not kind of like a take you to kind of like a la la land, or it going to bring kind of like any kind of light or any kind of radiation from the outside and make you enlightened. It's not going to do like that way. So whatever happened in front of you, and it's not kind of like, oh, everything possible to change, it's a all anitya. So like that, you're not going to see like that way. In the vipassana level, the both conventional truth and eternal truth, you start to see very clearly. And that is where, as a person, ordinary person, you're going to become more aware regarding that. And the action you take going to become more different than the other people. And then you become more active person to the conventional life and the society itself. Then all the enlightened masters in the history, like that, they are the one who became more active than others. And even the first group of the monks, the Buddha's followers, what the Buddha said, Charita Bhikkhave Charikam Bahujana Hitaya Bahujana Sukhaya. It is not for only people who practice for meditation, for all living beings and for most of the people. Yeah, that for the good, and go and start to preach the Dharma. Go and give this gift. That is what Buddha said. So then you have to remember, when you practice this path of meditation, it is not going to shut down your mind in one way and you're going to mesmerize and you become kind of like the completely that different person and detached from the society. You're not going to become completely kind of like a neutral person. No, you become more clear, sharp. So when it comes to that, how this is happening. So how the the conventional life and how your spiritual life both going to develop through this practice. So we're going to go to the bottom, and it's like how. And so then yourself, you have to channel your mind to the same level, and that is where you're going to understand what I'm trying to explain. So it's like this. Remember, like a goldsmith, like ironsmith, don't afraid to question and don't afraid to beat it and burn it and see how this is and why this is like that way. So that is where your deeper the consciousness going to become more sharp and clear. That is where all the dust going to go away. So when we come to this world, the very first gift that we get is the self. No one can deny it. The very first gift we get is the title, is the self. So to go towards the Nibbana, also we need the self. And also stay in the Sansara, also we need the self. So it's like this kind of like a government. The Sansara, the life existence itself, like a government, like the Jesus, or the kingdom. So once you come here, what happening? The agent from the Mara come and give a title to you, self. And then once you have the self, how you can deal with this? So because you cannot stay away from it, you have to accept it. You come with it. So then, if you develop yourself with the moral practice, ethics, that you always your self's identity, that whatever the self-centered life always going to become better. If you develop it with the moral practice, fundamental human ethics and qualities. So if you develop that yourself, and with the help of that, and then your life going to become good. But at the same time, there is a choice come to you. If you develop that self with the self greedy or the self important idea, I am important idea, then it always bound to the sansara. So then in the beginning, so what is happening? Your parents have, when you come as a child, always your parents have an idea, one idea, it's common to all the parents. There is no any mother or the father, they're going to be different. They all have one idea. What is that? This my child, my daughter, my son should be better than me. So that is where you get your the moral values, fundamental human ethics. No any mother or the father try to help you to go lower than them. So then they always try to build your life with the moral values. It's common to all the human beings. Even anywhere in the far away in the Amazon, in the African, in the middle of the jungle, if the father is a hunter, if they have the child, they have the intention, this my child should be better than me. Even there are sometimes the hunter thinking, oh, my child should go to university if they know about it. Or my child should go to university or study something better and get a degree. Or even regarding hunting degree, or like that. They think like that way. Always to be better than me. So that is where you get your moral values and your fundamental human qualities and the fundamental human rights. But at the same time, what is happening? There are some that we cannot say it, we cannot say how it is happening. But it also come out of the human. And because mostly the greediness, anger, and the hatred is stronger always in the society. So as a result of that, what is happening? There are some ideas come to us, and it can come by the mostly by the as a result of the government. Or why it is not the government mean the president or the vice president and not the parliament, or say it is not that. The government, there are some people invest the money to run the government, to run their business. They have idea to transplant the greediness in the people. So now you get the moral values from your parents and the culture, but at the same time, when it comes to society, when you go to society, they giving you choice. And what is that choice? You have the self-greediness and idea of self-importance. Once you have that, what is happening to that moral life? It demoralizing. So once you get into demoralized lifestyle, what is happening? And that will make you more weaker. And then you become a person that start to realize the nature through ideology. So that is the very nature of that we demoralizing character. Always you're going to realize the nature of the things through ideology. That means the idea, you depending from idea, See, that is what happening. Even when it come to religion, even it come to the meditation sometimes, and we depending from ideas. And through depending from ideas, you like to find the liberation. But that is the most, the powerful, the character that hold by the vipassana. Why? Because there is no way that any teacher can that decode or that can teach the vipassana with the ideology. So whatever they say, when it go to vipassana, what you have to do? You have to let go all the ideas. So see, that is the power of the Buddha's teaching. There is no one can and use it in a wrong way. Another thing is, whatever the ideology you carried, and look for the reality through that ideology. When it comes to vipassana, it has no power that you can mix it with that technique. Why? because when it comes to vipassana, you have to be free. So when you become clearly free, what is happening? You always depending from your moral values, your fundamental human qualities, what we call ethics. So that's why the precepts is a certain way it helps for us in when we practice meditation to have a clear mind. So, but the thing is, when a person, listen this very carefully, when a person develop a character to look for the reality through the ideology, and he will never find the truth, even though you shower the 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 right information to his head, still he never going to see the reality. He always look for ideas. He always look for ideas. So that is, see, that is how we bound to this, the information world. That is how the world became so powerful with the information. It's because we mesmerize with the ideas. And whatever the new ideas come tomorrow, people go with it. And how it became, because the very reason to go like that way, in a deeper, we have a character with the self-greedy and self-idea of the self-important. So that's how it goes. And then what is happening, when you go with the ideas, then that you destabilize, unbalance. So once you become unbalanced, and then you become a discouraged and dispirit person. You don't have any values just by yourself. So then what will happen? It always, you depending from something. You depending from money, title, space, and the environment, people, position. So you always depending. Then you become kind of like, you develop a nature, kind of like a beggary. So there is no freedom inside you. You lose yourself, then you living, but still you depending from something. So why? Because you develop the self-greediness and self-important idea. But if you go with the, the moral values, what is happening? When you go with the moral values, or if you go with the fundamental human qualities or ethics, you develop the, rather than self-greediness or rather than self-important, you develop self-confidence. And then that self-confidence will bring the calmness or the comfort to yourself, and that will help you to have the self-awareness. See, now you may see how it go to the self, the same self can go towards the Sansara or can go towards the Nibbana. Because sometimes people ask question, how this self, if you have the self, how it can go to Nibbana with this idea. So this is, now you may see how the foundation comes. If you develop the self with the moral value, that self always going to come out of the self-confidence, and it develop the self-awareness. But if you go with the self-greediness or the idea of self-importance, and then you always depending from the ideology, and then you go that way and looking for experiencing reality with the ideas, and then you develop a kind of like an unbalanced lifestyle. You destabilize your mind depending from always through the information, or then you depend from the society, culture, or the money, or the position, or anything, even your self-image. So that anything, always you depending from that, then it de-spirit you. And then destabilize, and then what is happening? It develop the beggar inside. You become kind of like a beggar. Always look for something, look for something, look for something. But if you go with the self-awareness, then rather than you looking for the truth through ideology, you start to look the truth through self-experience. When you look for the truth through self-experience, you become more independence from the informations or the title or the position or the environment or the material. And then you become free. When you become free, just the study point of view, we use name word called the spirit, and then you become more relaxed and comfortable person. See, rather than becoming this spirit, you develop your spirit higher. So this is how that the deeper level that our self can work, that work for the Sansara and the Nibbana. So that is not going to just, there is more. So once the self now destabilize, and then it discourage the spirit and depending from something, and always kind of like develop a beggarly nature, and the struggle come. That the struggle is called suffering. That the struggle, it's a kind of like a crisis. That crisis itself inside us is the suffering. There is no rest. And it's kind of like a disease. Very being itself become a disease. Why? Because the no is. It's you get out of the is and you lose the is, and then you develop disease. What is the nature of the disease? Unrest. Uncomfortable. So even you go to sleep, you are not rest. Even in the dream, always. Why? The beggary, looking for some through your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, looking, asking, grasping, and even that praying, always try to go towards something, get something, get something. See how it becomes so powerful in the samsara. But if you go toward the self-confident and with the self-awareness, and rather than that the dependency, you start to develop the independence. That independence life itself bring the peace, tranquility state, and develop the calmness. And that calmness again will help you to go towards the awareness. And that awareness itself take you out of the crisis or the suffering. The thing is this, when you go towards the beggary and the discourage and the disappointment and dispirit and dependency, and then you always develop this beggary nature through your eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, and looking for the perception or through the desires, that all remember self-centered, self-greedy, and with the self-important. You want to look something with the self-centered and self-greedy. But if you develop the moral values, discipline come, and then you recognize this is good, this is bad, I have to do this, I no need to do this. So like that. And fundamental human qualities always help you to see what to do and how to do and when to do. So like that way. See how it become different. But the thing is this, when the crisis or the struggle, suffering become normalized. Once it become normal, that you take it as a life, you accept it, you you enjoy it, you live with it, you dance with it, and you sleep with it, and so whatever you do, you ready to do it with, because it is now normal for you. So that is what called sansara, and that is what suffering people, it is, once the suffering normalize, it is very difficult to take out. So that is why it is very difficult to even ourselves to practice a little bit and to go towards the clarity. Why? Because even within ourselves, this suffering, this crisis, this disease already normalized, stabilized. It's there, settled down. Now it's okay. It happened to us. It is very easily happened to human beings. You keep doing whatever any that the very difficult hard things for few days, what will happen? If you are able to see again and again and again, whatever, it's going to become normal for you. Then it become okay. Then you're going to live with it. Keep any bad smell next to you few days. After few days, you don't say it. It's normal now. Have you seen that, some in our country sometimes, the train go in a very narrow place, that all the, the behind, that the all the two sides, houses, people living. And sometimes when you hear how the train sound, it's, maybe few kilometers you hear that sound. But sometimes I used to be in a temple next to the railroad, and after few days, and even you don't remember if the rain go or not. If somebody asks, did the rain go, that the train go, and don't remember. That much it become, normal. And that is so dangerous. Once the suffering become stabilized, normalized to your life, remember, you are in the sansara, you enjoy the sansara, you enjoy the suffering. So, but the self is the key point. And if you are able to develop the self with the moral values, fundamental human qualities, ethics, so the same self has power to take you to awareness. Through the courage, through the confidence. And that way, if you go, you become more independent rather than depending. And in that path, once you get into the self-awareness, in that self-awareness, you release that all the thoughts, and you able to experience in the very first level, you experience things as it is in tranquility state. And from there, when you go to Vipassana, you're able to recognize how things come to be as they are. And this is the way spiritual life and conventional life diverge. But the thing is, to increase the value of self-greediness and self-importance, that is where the government funding, the programs, all the business people and everybody, that is where they funding, and that is where they hold the society. And once they able to develop the ideology of self-importance and self-greediness, forget about the Nibbana and people. And it doesn't matter whatever the corruptions come, whatever the bad things come, whatever the war happen in the world, and people don't care about it. They always going to go towards the self-important and self-greediness. The most dangerous part for the government is the vipassana knowledge. That's why, like in India, they wipe out all the Buddha's teaching. Even like in Sri Lanka also, many times the the kings who came to Sri Lanka, they used to burn. They're looking for. They go behind the Tripitaka and burn it. Go behind the Tripitaka and burn it. Why? Because the truth, the Vipassana knowledge of truth is challenged, not the government. It challenged to the self-important and self-greediness. If any person come out of the self-greediness or the self-important, that person have the greater compassion and open heart to see entire universe. And that's why you can say, may all living beings be well and happy. And they don't like anybody suffering. They don't like if anybody become minor. And they don't accept if anybody go lower. So that is where that the government or whoever run whatever the country, the politics or anything, you can name whatever. That is the greater challenge. And that's why they try to demoralize this idea little by little, little by little. And maybe the funding, a lot of money to invest through the meditation. See, you have to see this current because it's coming more and more with this nowadays with this the new way of that information, because most people go to app and go online and practice meditation. And so you have to be very careful and you have to be aware. And is it try to transplant inside you self-awareness or the self-important? And or is it try to transplant in you that the self-awareness or the the self-courage or the discipline and the fundamental human qualities? And it is up to you. But if you become very clear, and then you will see. But somehow, whoever do whatever they do, there is no way that anybody can decode the knowledge of the Vipassana. It always like a silent river. It always going to go. But it is up to you to jump to it and shower or get the water out of it and experience it, or otherwise you can jump to ideological the river and you can enjoy the sansara. It's both up to you. So with that, I bless upon with this good practice. May all of you be well, happy and peaceful. May no harm come to you, may no difficulties come to you, may no problems come to you. May you also have the patience, courage, understanding and determination to meet and overcome inevitable difficulties in your life. So during this time period, may everyone stay healthy and safe. And finally, may all of you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sabbityo vajjantu sabbarogo vinassatu mate bhavatvantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava. Ittavata cha ammehi sampadam punya sampadam sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idamme punya kammang asavakkaya vangotu sabba dukkha pamuncatu. Bless you.